Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Pranzata podcast. I am your host, Andrea Pranzatelli. We have a guest today. His name is Mark Henely. He is a comedian from New Jersey, and you're from New Jersey, but you perform in New Jersey and New York City. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm from the Jersey Shore, live in Jersey City now. I'm in New York, New Jersey, all over the place.
Yes, and he also produces and co-produces and co-hosts a show called The Comedy Fight Club. It is a roast battle show, and I have a lot of questions for him about that. I had the pleasure of performing in it twice already.
2 times.
Yes. But before we get into that, this is a podcast where I interview comedians and musicians from the New York, Jersey, and Philly area. And I think this is episode 54, but I can't remember. But it'll say in the information. So let's get right into it. Mark Henely is here. So my first question for you, Mark, we were talking about the roast battle. Who are you in this project? Are you the main guy who does this? Are you the co-host? Like, what is your situation there?
I'm the big dog.
You're the big dog. No. So this was your. I know everybody calls you the big dog.
What it is my friend Matt. He's been running the show for years before I was doing it.
Yeah.
And he's the commissioner of Comedy Fight Club, and he's been running roast battles since like they first somewhat started in New York. And years after the fact, I got involved and started producing like ones in Jersey and stuff, really during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So before the pandemic, the show was in the Stand, the Stand in New York and the Big Comedy Club. Yeah. It was there every week. And then during the pandemic, the show had to go on the road. Okay. It had to go different venues. It had to go to different backyards and stuff. And I got involved in producing like the Jersey ones and stuff.
Okay.
Because they needed new venues. So I would book out the Jersey lineups and stuff. And I would end up performing there too. And they ended up asking me to be there like every week. So my job every episode is to hype everybody up.
You do a very good job at that. Yes.
Of the show.
Now, do you pretty much primarily do this and not regular stand-up now, or do you do some regular stand-up still?
No, I do regular stand-up all the time still.
Okay.
But Comedy Fight Club is certainly like the highest profile thing that I do.
Yeah.
But I do regular stand-up and I do some storytelling as well.
No, you guys have your shit together. Like I was wondering, I'm like, this can't just be one person producing this because you guys are doing really well. Like you guys,
thank you.
You have over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. You have a Patreon. You guys went to Connecticut. What was that all about? You went to Connecticut?
Yeah, 1,000 subscribers actually means that we do get to do ads on the show.
Yeah.
So we have like some low monetization, but the Connecticut show, the idea there is we want to like spotlight some other local scenes in the area. So Dave Sheehan, he's like one of the best roasters around. Yeah. He's currently in our like spring tournament right now.
Yeah.
He's doing very well. He's a killer. But he runs some shows up in Connecticut, so we came up and kind of like filmed to show off some of the Connecticut roast battlers and kind of showcase some of them.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. No, you guys really got it together. So I actually do have a question for you. I've been telling a lot of my comedian friends that I've started doing roast battles.
Yeah.
And I get a mixed reaction from that. Some comedians are like, I hate roast battles. I don't want to do them. Why do you like roast battles? What do you gain from it? Or what do you think the audience gains from it or whatever?
Well, the weird thing is I might have even been on board with that because the first few that I did, I didn't know what I was doing. The first 2 I went up against some close friends. So I knew them. So I did jokes about them. Yeah. And then the third one, I went against a guy I didn't know that well. And I did terribly. I had no good jokes and then did terribly. And then didn't do another one for like a year, you know?
So do you think the people who don't like it, it's because they suck at it? Is that why?
I think what it is, so some of it is roast battles are very offensive. I think some people, they don't want to put that into their brand in general. Okay. There's a lot of people out there who part of their brand is that they're not necessarily offensive in that way, or they're not mean.
Every comedian has their own style.
Yeah, so if you're not offensive or not mean, doing a roast battle actually I think does very little for you. In fact, could be very bad for you down the line.
Yeah.
If someone's like, if you're like a very like woke comedian, which I'm not against being, you know, if you're a very woke comedian and then there's like footage of you years later after you finally get your writing show for the Amber Ruffin, your writing job for the Amber Ruffin show, and then people are like, look at them like laughing at like slurs and stuff, then I feel like, I don't know, like he screwed up, I guess.
Yeah.
So it can go either way. So I think that makes sense. But also like in stand-up in general, you usually have like a lot of control over how you're presented. Yeah. And you lose a lot of control of presentation in a roast battle. Mm-hmm. And also the variance for whether or not it goes well or not wildly swings.
Yeah. I think for me, the reason why I liked it so much was that it forced me to be more creative with my joke writing.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the main thing I got from it, because, you know, stand up, it's like a very broad, like there's so many things you could talk about. There's so many ways you can do it. It's sometimes overwhelming. So for me, it was like, it really narrowed things down. It was like, okay, here's your opponent. Look for, like, I literally wrote down like 3 or 4 things that I thought I could make fun of about him.
Yeah.
Okay, now try to, and it was like very structured. I was like, okay, lead the audience on, make fun of him, put it in a punchline, sneak it in somehow. And like, I was like, wait, this is how I should be like writing regular jokes, like for my normal stand up. So I was like, I've never done this before. So for me, it was like the competitive nature of it really forced me to like write more creatively. I don't even know if it's creatively, but I guess more structured, you know?
Sometimes that focus helps a lot. And you've done very well. You're 1-1. So she's won once, she's lost once.
Yeah.
But you've had a very strong showing both times. And that second time at the theater, people got like real riled up during it.
I was going to ask you about that. Is that normal? Like, do you guys...
No. Well, because usually we do the shows in New York, and the show started out like kind of like a show for other comics.
Okay.
You know, like comics would hang out, and then, you know, normal people would come in, but a lot of it was like, you know, inside references. So when we go out like on the road to some place like the Denellen Theater that you performed at, this huge theater with tons of people at it, a lot of them have never been to a roast battle before, and they want someone to win and they want someone to lose. And like you had so much support, especially I think from the other women in the audience, where they were just like, yeah, your roommate was
FYI,
there.
people, my roommate's here, and she was also in the audience. But.
Yeah. So you had like all their support, but you had so much support that some guy was booing you.
Yeah,
which was so wild. Like everyone was like cheering you, like, yeah, and then he was like, boo. I think Matt was even like, why are you booing her? And she's like, she's getting too much support.
Somebody called me a hoe.
Yeah.
Like some guy was like, you're a hoe. And like, yeah, it was. So I'm actually wondering, what's one of the craziest stories you've had at a roast battle where someone flipped out in the audience? Like, was that the craziest story? Like,
I mean that was pretty nuts, because it was wild being up there, because I was judging that night, and I could one of the things I judged differently than the audience felt, and I could feel it from them. Like they were annoyed by that. There was sort of like almost like a group thing you can kind of feel while you're up there. The craziest thing to happen actually this Sunday, we did a show in New York where there was like a couple of drunk guys heckling. And some people, like some hecklers, like they just kind of want a little attention. If you make fun of them, they kind of stop. But sometimes you get so drunk that you don't register shame anymore.
Oh yeah.
So these guys would just kind of show up, and they would just like, he'd be sitting there and he'd be like, blah, 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 blah. He's like making sounds. And we're like, you got to get out of here. And like it kept going on, and we kept kicking them out. And the host of the show, Matt, is a security guard. So he actually knows how to kick people out.
That's good. You need that. That's a really valuable asset for your team.
And after kicking them out a few times, he like legitimately, like right before the main event, was like, you're getting the fuck out of here. And he gets off stage and shoves the one guy full chest, and ends up pushing both guys out of the full building.
Oh my God.
So if you want to come Fight Club, I guess you can.
I guess not only is it a roast battle, but it's actually
I guess you can fight Matt. I don't know.
Yeah, no. I couldn't, and like kind of reflecting back on that, I couldn't even understand what they were so mad about that I did. Like I'm like, I don't know why I should even try to make sense of it. Like they're just crazy people, but I was trying to get like analytical about it. I'm like, is it just because I'm a female and they don't like to see a female winning? Like, is it that, or did I say a joke that offended them particularly? Like I couldn't figure it out.
Well, Matt even said, like, he was like, why are you booing? And the guy was like, she's getting too much love. And he's like, that's like a microcosm for women. Like some woman's doing too well. And some guy's like, she can't be getting that much. She can't be getting that much. Like, we got to shut that down. It was a wild, and like, I kind of felt I hate to repeat the exact same podcast conversation, but for those who didn't see my last podcast, I was telling my last guest, Ricky, that I kind of felt like a failure of a comedian in a way that I couldn't come up with ways to handle the hecklers. Yeah. I think I had one that was like, okay. But then, like, for example, in one, now I hope the audience doesn't steer this the wrong way, because it was a weird joke, but someone in the audience was like, yell the N-word. I'm like, okay, if I was a good comedian, I would have been able to come up with a funny word that started with N. Yeah. And I couldn't think of anything. Yeah. So I was like, I felt like a little bit of a failure that I don't have that much experience with hecklers. But I don't know. Denellen has its own brand of hecklers, as she remembers, because I've performed in Denellen at that, not at the theater, but the bar next to it. Oh yeah, the bar, yeah.
And there were some hecklers in there that like they were saying just like sexist things. Like one guy was like, I'll show you my mushroom tip or something like
That's
that.
weird, yeah.
And like the one guy was like, show us your, like, quit the jokes and just show your tits or something like that. Like racist, sexist stuff like coming from Dunellen. So I guess I'm not really that surprised that that happened in Dunellen.
Yeah, I mean that's real shitty. I sometimes I don't necessarily mind when people kind of yell stuff during my set most of the time, because a lot of times like someone says something like that and then you just shut them down and then they feel shame. Yeah. It's really when they get so drunk that they can no longer feel shame that they really become a problem.
I was actually reading this somewhere. I don't know if I heard it on a podcast or if I read it somewhere, but it was one or the other. But it was like about stand-up comedy, and it said that the audience kind of wants and expects the comedian to deal with the heckler because they're kind of living vicariously through the comedian. It's kind of like, oh, that's that asshole at work I always wanted to curse off. Like they're kind of like when a heckler heckles the comedian, the audience wants you to attack them.
Yeah. They want you to kind of like drop the hammer down, and they want the comedian to be in charge. Yeah. And part of that sometimes is sort of like meeting out justice, I guess, because like the heckler is I think for a lot of times the heckler is almost more annoying to the other like audience members than to the comedian necessarily. Yeah. So like they always want that's why usually it's like relatively easy to shut down a heckler because everyone else is mad at them. Yeah. One weird mistake you can make though is if the audience doesn't also hate the heckler and you go too hard at them, sometimes you lose them. Oh yeah. Or like if someone's like tries to participate a little bit too much and then you're like, shut the fuck up, and then they're like if you go too hard, people are like, hey, come on, man,
like
it wasn't
a little
that
too
bad.
rough. Yeah.
You don't want to go too hard necessarily out the gate all the time.
What's one of your weirdest heckling stories?
I don't know. I don't think I have to, because I'm very conversational on stage. So if people are kind of talking to me, a lot of times it's just like I just kind of talk back to them. Yeah. So there aren't too many. The worst I ever got heckled was like years ago. I used to just do open mics at like music venues. Yeah. And it was rough because I was very bad at comedy. Yeah. And I was doing all these like, music venue things. And middle of my set, this old man just goes, all right, let's hear it for Mark, and started clapping, like to kind of get me off stage. And then other people clapped too because they weren't paying attention. And I was like, well, I guess the set's over. And so that's like the worst I've ever kind of gotten heckled because it actually worked and got me off stage, but.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Considered, it could be a lot worse.
And I've never had to like fight anybody or anything.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing stand up for in general? Not the roast battle stuff, but just the regular stand up.
Like 7-8 years, about that time, since I was like 24.
Okay, so you got a pretty young start.
Yeah, which I think is good. People sometimes that start after 30 get weird.
What do you mean get weird?
They they want to make money and be successful like right away. So like that often is how like you ever see like bringer shows where like people like they like bring audience members and then you get to perform. A lot of times I feel like that's people that start after 30 where they're like, I gotta make money on this right away, and then they just start like doing like weird shady stuff to like get ahead.
They like kind of do some conniving sneaky stuff to try to like get especially notice and stuff like that.
Especially they have like a family, and then they like have to explain to like their like husband or wife all the time like, why are you out all the time? Because like comedy you're like terrible for like years. And then
I heard it takes 10 years.
Yeah, it takes I'm getting close. But you're terrible for years and there's no money in it. So like because I started young, I think I like have a relatively good like sense of pacing with it, I guess. I will say this, even though there's no money in it in the very beginning at least, I'm coming from like the musician's perspective, and from the perspective of musician where you don't make money in that in the beginning either, and you have to lug around thousands of dollars worth of gear, and you like you perform a show, you do it for hours. Like imagine doing stand up and on top of that you bring like a tuba or like something, you know what I mean? Like you have to pack in your car and put the electric equipment, like all this stuff. So I think that's kind of like, you don't make money in comedy, but at the same time it's like it's kind of a sweet gig to like at 8 p.m. after work's over you just show up. Like it's the most fun thing. Yeah. I do most things that are offered to me just because like I don't know, it's fun. I would rather do a different thing. Yeah. Which I think is part of the reason I like stay kind of well adjusted is that even like bad open mics or bad shows are still kind of fun to me. So
you don't get like depressed after you bomb a show or bomb an open mic.
I don't know. I'm just like so used to bad open mics that I can ride it out, I think. and also like I have a good way of expecting what I can and can't get out of like a real bad thing.
Yeah.
And also like, I don't know. I just don't see it as like, I went to a bad open mic and it was sucks. I'm like, I don't know. It was fun. I had a good time.
Yeah. You had fun time.
Got to do comedy. It was cool.
Okay. So you said you've been doing it for 7 years, you said? Is that what you said?
Yes, around 7, 8 years, something like that.
7, 8 years. At what point, at what year did you start noticing a percentage increase of good versus bad shows? Like, so for example, maybe in the beginning it's like a 50-50, like you bomb, you do well. Like at what year did you start noticing like, okay, I'm doing more good than bad at this point?
I don't know. It's hard to really tell because like I was fortunate enough. So there's a period of time when I first started where I was like living in New York, and then I ran out of money like 3 months in, and I moved down with my mom in the shore, and then I spent like a couple of years down by the shore doing things, mostly around like musicians for a while.
Interesting.
And there was one mic that I would go to every week that was like a mostly music mic, and I would kill there every week because they're all people like similar age to me.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, like I think I stayed like relatively confident, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you did stuff with musicians. You're not a musician yourself?
No. I had a metal band in high school, but we were very bad.
What was your instrument in that band?
I played guitar. Played rhythm guitar, so I was actually the worst guitar player.
And why did you stop that? You didn't think it was going anywhere?
So like we had like a disagreement in the band, which is that like I wanted to be like a cool guy in a band, and they wanted a guitar player that practiced sometimes. Just practice sometimes, and I wasn't gonna do it.
Yeah, I guess like that's the thing with music is that you have to be super disciplined. Like I don't know what your writing process is like, but I know some comedians that are super psychotic and disciplined and they write everything out
for sure,
like Seinfeld style. And then I know some comedians that are like, yeah, I just go on stage and just riff on the spot, which I'm not one of those. I'm like one of the psychos that has to write everything out sort of thing.
No, I'm for sure the latter. Everything I do is sort of like, yeah, I guess I'll do that. And then I kind of go up and do it. Like that's why I try to get up on stage so much, because if I just do it over and over again on stage, the having very little preparation does eventually like make you tough.
Yeah.
And then you have like stuff that develops
because it
like,
forces you to be on the, It's so funny. She's been inviting me recently to Dungeons and Dragons. So she plays Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm like, I feel like scared to do it, but a lot of my friends are telling me like it would actually be great for your comedy because it forces you to improv. Yeah. And I'm like, that's actually true. And that's probably why I'm nervous to do it. Because I feel I'm like so the opposite of you. Like I'm like, ask her when I was doing the roast, I was like neurotic. I was like sitting down, like writing, like I was writing all day and I was like sweating and freaking out and like really anxious. I'm a very overly prepared person. To a point where I think it's good, but sometimes it hinders me in some ways. Like it hinders creativity and stuff like that.
Yeah, most sets I don't go up with like most sets I don't go up with even like a set list. Yeah.
See,
I just have like an idea of like how I want it to go, and then things I want to talk about, and then I kind of go through that, and then kind of figure it out while I'm up there.
Do you think it hinders you in any way, or do you think it's just your style and it works for you?
I don't know that. I don't think I have the personality to do it another way. I think there are times where I do need to rally, so I will like for roast I'll like write stuff more, and then for some shows I'll put together like a set list, but it's very rare that I do that.
It's funny. Yeah, for music it's very like,
what's your Dungeons and Dragons character?
I didn't play yet. So I don't know. I don't even know how it works. Like, and I don't even think I have the attention span for this. Like I feel like you need to memorize a lot of details, and I don't think I have that.
I played it once in college, and I fell asleep while we were doing it.
Really?
Yeah.
So you didn't like it?
I don't think at any point I got like enough into it.
Gotcha. She loves it.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
She has like a lot of Viking tattoos.
I don't.
Well, you ever play God of War? You play video games?
I play video games, but more old school video games. My boyfriend is a big like modern. My boyfriend's big into modern games, and he's like, have you been on the Elden Ring kick?
I've been playing that a little bit. I barely know what's going on.
Yeah, so he got on the Elden Ring game, so I play a little bit with him with that. So he kind of like teaches me a little bit about newer games, but I'm telling my age here, but I play Sega Genesis in my bedroom. So who's older, you or me?
I'm 32.
I'm older, yeah. So you probably played Sega Genesis.
I played Sega Genesis.
What was your game? Like what was your?
Well, I was saying that to say your roommate kind of looks like a side character from God of War.
Oh.
Because she has like all these like kind of Vikingish tattoos and like the side haircut.
Yeah. Sorry, I went into a side tangent before you can even get to your point. See, I don't have the attention span to play serious games.
Yeah, but you could just do it one-off.
Let's do a one-off.
And that's the other thing. I work till like 8:30, and you guys like. There's no way I can be
Too
a
late
regular.
to play video games after
My
8:30.
cat, he's like all over. So this cat Neo, we say he has FOMO because he can't like he has to know everything that's going on. Like he's gonna be the case of curiosity killed the cat because like he always needs to get into everything.
Is it Neo like the Matrix?
Yeah. I didn't name him actually. My ex-boyfriend's brother named him because I couldn't name him and neither could my boyfriend at the time. So we just asked his brother and he's like Neo because he's black and we're like that works.
Are you still friends with that guy?
My ex-boyfriend or his brother?
His brother.
No. I mean, I hope he doesn't hear this. Like, no, like he'll never hear this. No. I'm friends with my ex-boyfriend, but not necessarily his brother. We all lived together for like 4 years.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So we don't really. I just think it would be weird to keep in touch with his brother, but
Yeah, it feels like an odd
I feel like there'd be like boundaries crossed if like. But no, me and my ex are still friends. But what's your love life like?
It's okay sometimes.
Are you in the dating scene? Seeing anybody single? Aggressively single?
What's aggressively single?
Like just not interested.
Oh, definitely not aggressively single. Aggressively single and not interested would be like someone tries to talk to me and I'm like, get the fuck away from me. I'm working on me right now.
There's some people like that. Like I feel like you went through a phase like that where you were just like, I don't want to deal with anybody. I feel like you're sort of kind of in that phase. Like you're trying to put yourself out there, but you're just like not ready for it kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm just kind of seeing where things go.
Yeah.
But not like, no expectations.
Just vibing.
Not aggressively single. But like when I first became single from that ex, because we were together for so long,
Yeah.
I was aggressively I was like, I need to be alone. But that lasted like 1 month. And I was like, all right, I'm crying every day. Like I got to find a boyfriend now.
I definitely date and stuff and I'm open to things, but, I'm very independent. So if someone is not, they've got to be the right person for me to invest the time in, I think.
I think as a comedian, it's probably hard to find somebody who's okay with the lifestyle.
Yeah. It's definitely hard to be with someone who's out all the time. And I think sometimes that's, stressful on certain people. So if someone doesn't have like the qualities that they can kind of like be with someone that's out a lot, I think I can I'm at this point now where I can kind of identify it like right away.
I think you probably would do well with either another creative person who's also out all the time or like a groupie of yours, like who wants to come to every show like and who likes it.
Yeah, I don't know that I want them coming to every show.
Yeah, because it could be distracting.
I'm very hesitant to introduce people that I date to a bunch of casual acquaintances, I guess.
Yeah,
like normal, like people I'm like really tight with. I think it's okay, but like a bunch of casual acquaintances, I think I don't know.
What if you wrote material about them too? It would be awkward if they saw it. Would you, if you were in a relationship, would you write material about your significant other and let them see it?
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like that's like I've heard people tell me like, yeah, you totally should. Like you should just write whatever.
That's how I know I like someone. If I'm talking about them in my set, it just kind of naturally I end up talking about them a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's like a weird thing to me where like, because like especially if you don't know something's gonna work out and you just introduce someone to everyone and then they start dating them. I don't know. It's like that's part of it too.
Oh, you don't want like someone else to steal her while she's there alone.
Not steal, but like after we break up, then they start dating.
That's awkward. Yeah, because they all know each other. I gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know that I necessarily, because like there's a lot of people. There's a few people in comedy I'm like very very close with, like my roommate Matt, the guy that I run Comedy Fight Club with.
He's your
like,
roommate.
Yeah. And then we also have this guy Ben, who's also one of my roommates. Like, there's a few people I'm very, very close with, but other people that are a little bit outside of that, like, they're gonna, and like, so I don't know that I necessarily. And again, like, if it happened, I wouldn't be like, I hate everybody. I'd be like, well, that's just how it happened. So I kind of want to like avoid it a little bit.
It's funny, and
like,
I think
like passively avoid it. I guess.
I think the comedy world is very male dominated. So when there's a female in the picture, they're probably like a. What is it called? Like a French fry at McDonald's. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're probably people are just all over them, you know?
It depends. I feel like I'm not the type to necessarily do that.
Yeah.
Like there are definitely like mics or shows where a girl will show up and then like a bunch of like they can have all the guys wrapped around their finger like immediately. Yeah. And I'm not the type to be like, I'm gonna go over there too. Like I'm kind of like I'm gonna hang back and not
I feel like
embarrass myself.
That's a better approach because like I don't know. I feel like it comes across as tacky when it's like too much too soon. I mean, I don't know. I'm in a relationship now, but when I was single, I guess like when people are, I think it's better to like form a friendship with somebody first and then approach it from that angle versus like say your lines. Like, you know what I mean? Like say your pickup lines.
Yeah.
What's your pickup line?
I don't think I have a pickup line.
So if you were at a bar and you saw a cute girl, you wouldn't approach her like a stranger?
I don't drink.
You don't drink?
No, I
She's
don't
not
drink,
drinking for a month either.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but just temporarily.
Yeah, just 'cause
You don't drink at all?
Yeah, but no concussions. You don't drink because of concussion?
well, just like I got a concussion like 2 weeks ago, so I'm just
She's
I still have,
recovering.
like, really bad headaches.
Oh,
She
damn.
gets like migraines and she can't look at lights and stuff like
How'd
that.
you get the concussion?
At a show, I got knocked down by someone in the pit.
A mosh pit? You look like the kind of guy who have seen a couple mosh pits.
Yeah. I used to be in a metal band. I used to be a terrible guitar player in a metal band. So I've seen a few pits, but I'm not necessarily like that physically aggressive like that.
Yeah.
I'm not a big roughhouser.
Gotcha.
So I
gentle
definitely,
giant.
Yeah. I'm not out here necessarily like roughhousing. What was the question again?
It wasn't really a question. I made an assumption.
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
said you
I
look
don't-
like somebody who could be in a couple mosh pits.
Oh yeah, no. Before that, yeah, I don't drink, so like, I do like meet women in real life from time to time, and I think anytime I meet a woman in real life versus like on like an app or something, the connection is like significantly like deeper, like just from the bat. I think it is, but like I'm very. It's not that I don't make the first move. I'm very hesitant to unless I think it's gonna work.
Yeah.
You know. Especially if there's anything like comedy involved with it, you don't want to be wrong about that.
Yeah. So when you go on dates, do you find when girls find out you're a comedian, are they like, "Can you tell me a joke?"
I don't know. I mean, if they do, I just kind of brush past it.
When I was single and I was like meeting guys and they weren't a comedian and found out I was a comedian, they would always be like, "Tell me your best joke." And I was like, "No, I don't like I just think that's strange because I'm a musician and nobody comes up to me and is like, "Sing me your best song right now." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just like they don't really see it that way. You know what I mean? Because it's comedy. They think you're just going to tell like a funny joke on the spot. I just think it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I used to have like a one-liner that I had that I would just tell people if they asked me, but I don't really do that anymore. I think I'm generally like pretty funny in person, especially if I'm dating somebody.
Yeah.
That they don't. I feel like they don't necessarily need
you to tell a joke.
Yeah. If someone's dating me, I think they generally find me funny. Not always though. I was dating this one girl that didn't understand any jokes I told.
That didn't work.
Which is tough because I'm a bit of like a needler. Like if I find something that if we're close and I find a thing that I think is going to annoy you, I'm gonna do it over and over again as sort of like a bonding thing. Is like I guess like a verbal roughhousing.
It's
and
like
I would
teasing, like
Yeah, I would try to do that with her, and she wouldn't. It just like wouldn't register as that.
She didn't like it, or she just didn't get it.
They didn't register as jokes. They just they registered as weird things I was saying. So I was like, so at a certain point I was like, I don't know. I can't even imagine how she thinks I am in her head. It's so like different, like matches differently from like how I actually am.
What you're trying to put out there. She just
She must be like, he's a fucking idiot. He just says weird shit all the time.
That's actually one of my pet peeves when someone misunderstands me. And I'm like they heard me said the wrong thing or they misunderstood what I said, and then their interpretation, I'm like, do you think I'm that fucking stupid? like that's like, I wish I could give you an example, but sometimes like, oh, I thought you said this, and I'm just like, why would I say that? Like, I wish I had a solid example, but I hate that so much. It's pretty much exactly what you said.
Yeah,
I'm just reiterating exactly what you
said. So basically, like, if someone doesn't find me funny, I think I'm confident enough to be like, well, that's just them, rather than like, oh my god, what am I doing with my life? But it is the kind of thing where like, I don't think I could date someone that doesn't understand jokes because it's just too weird.
Yeah.
I'm too weird if you don't think what I'm saying is funny.
You gotta have a good sense of humor to date a comedian for sure. So going back to what you were saying before about quitting drinking, a couple people, I think you told me this, and a couple other people told me you went through like a weight loss. Like you lost a whole bunch of weight. Is that right?
I used to be 276 pounds.
Holy shit.
So
and how much weight did you lose?
I was quite frankly large and in charge. I lost 80 pounds at my height. I think I'm maybe around like 60 down at this point.
That's crazy.
But I've been lifting. I lost a bunch of weight in the pandemic and stuff.
Was there something in particular that inspired you? Was it just the pandemic itself was like, okay, I need to get my health together, or what in particular?
Well, I don't know. It's weird because I kind of liked being a fat guy. Like, it was kind of fun being on stage, being a fat guy, and I liked just eating garbage and drinking Mountain Dew all the time. It was pretty cool. But it was bad health-wise. I, like, had, like, sleep apnea and stuff, and, like, I had this thing for a while where I was, like, peeing all the time.
Oh, shit.
And I think I was just too fat to have a full bladder.
Okay, what is sleep apnea? Because I don't know what that is.
That's where, like you stop, like, breathing in your sleep sometimes. So I think my neck was just, like, too thick.
Oh my god.
So yeah, so I liked being fat, but it was objectively the wrong move.
Does anybody ever die from sleep apnea?
Yeah, all the time.
Oh my god. You don't have it anymore, right?
I don't know. I don't think I do. I think I sleep significantly better, and I don't think I snore as loud as I used to, or as much as I used to.
So,
but it was like if someone slept next to me, they would hear me snoring. It was like it was a whole thing. But yeah, it was real bad, and then I like I happened to like get a job where I worked from home, and then that job also slowed down right before the pandemic. Yeah. So I started using that time to do DDP yoga, which is like a yoga program made up by a pro wrestler.
Okay.
And then I also started like wearing like a Fitbit and going on walks and like eating at home a lot. And the pandemic happened, and they were like, if you're fat, you'll die from the coronavirus. Yeah. So I was like, I gotta lose some weight.
Get it together. Yeah.
So and then it actually, all the things I was doing actually happened to work. So I was like, I guess I'll just keep this going. And like, I wasn't letting myself like go get takeout at all, because I was like, if I go to the takeout thing, I'll die from the coronavirus. Yeah. Which actually doesn't happen. You can go to Wendy's and not get the corona sometimes. But so that was my whole thing, was to try to not die from corona. And then when I got it that December, I didn't die.
So, wow, that's crazy.
So it worked.
Yeah, no, so you didn't take like a very necessarily a strict approach, like I'm on keto, I'm in this. You kind of just changed up certain things in your lifestyle.
Yeah, well, I was drinking like soda all the time. So I like stopped drinking soda, which is like a big part of it. And then I started like, I wasn't moving around like at all really. Yeah. So starting to do yoga and walks, like really like that also was burning a lot of calories. Yeah. And then I was doing certain elimination things, experimenting with it. Like at one point I stopped eating red meat and cheese. Yeah. Just to kind of like really get more healthy. Yeah. And like I cut out like a lot of dairy. Yeah. So that type of stuff helped me get like a lot more healthy. And I'm kind of like, my lowest I got was like, I got down to 195 when I had corona. Yeah. And I was up to 276 in my height. And now I'm around like 210 or whatever, but I've been lifting, so it's a little more.
That's crazy. But in the very beginning, like, see, you don't even have to be a fitness guru to make a lifestyle change. You know what I mean? Like you just did yoga and walking. I remember that happened to me too. I mean, I never gained that much weight, but
Have you ever been fat?
Chubby, I guess. I wouldn't say fat necessarily. I think I just have a small frame, so I think it would be hard for me. Like, I think if I were to put on a lot of weight, like, I would get sick really fast because I have really small bones. So, this one time I was like very depressed and I stopped exercising altogether. Yeah. And I had like chronic back pain and everything like that. And I got so depressed that I was just in bed basically for a year. And I'm not even exaggerating. Wow. I was just like in bed, barely working. It was really bad, having all kind of financial issues. And I gained like 30 pounds, which, you know, I wasn't fat per se, but for my body frame, it didn't feel right. So I was like, I need to do something. I need to change something. And I lost 20 pounds in like 3 months just from walking. I wasn't even working out at that point. You know, I mean, I guess that's working out, but I wasn't like lifting or anything like that. I was just like, I need to just get out of bed. Yeah. And I literally just like went walking every day. And within 3 months, I lost like 20 pounds. It was crazy.
It's big. My thing is I still have like a lot of like the same like fat guy interests. So I can just, I like work out a lot, but I can at any moment's notice just like eat like a ton of calories. Just like out of nowhere, be like, yeah, I'll get some coffee and I'll have a donut and just eat like a ton of things.
Dude, food is addicting just like anything else. I have an addictive gene, as you can see. And I'm addicted to food also. Like that's kind of why I work out so much, because I know that like I could let myself go because I love to eat. I mean, like ask her if she feeds me, like she'll be like, I made leftovers, have a little bit. And I'll be like, sorry, I ate everything. like I have like an appetite, you know what I mean? So I'm just like.
Is this true?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, you know, people don't believe it.
I love it. I love sharing.
Yeah. She'll be like, oh, I made like, wow, you want some? No, she has a bad habit of making a bunch of food and then forgetting to put it away, and then we waste it all. So either it gets thrown in the garbage because she forgets to refrigerate it, or I eat it all. That's really the only options.
It's weird. I don't get like depressed ever. Like I don't have depression in any way. So even when I was real fat, I was very happy just being very fat. Although it was
really,
very yeah, it was so fun going to Chili's all the time. But I just can't. I'm not allowed to.
It's more,
and now I eat it and it doesn't feel good anymore.
It was more circumstantial things. It wasn't like, oh, I'm depressed and I have to change something. It was like, oh, I don't want to die.
Yeah, and I
want to continue being happy.
I think some of it was I was probably like self-medicating from stress. Like when I was at my heaviest, I was actually working down here. This is like an hour from away from where I lived. I would just like I'd come down here, and on my way down, I would have like a large coffee from Dunkin' Donuts, and I'd have like these 2 egg and cheese like wraps that they had, and then I'd have a donut, and I would just crush them as I was on the bridge driving down, and that was very fun. But it's like 800 calories right off the bat.
So right now, if it was your birthday or a special occasion, it was like today is your day to let go of your health and eat whatever you want. What would be your dream like fat meal right now?
It's hard to say because they're not as fun as they used to be. So even like things that used to be like fun fat meals
they
back
don't taste
in the day,
as good to you anymore.
They're not the so like my birthday's coming up like a week or so.
Yeah.
So part of me is like I should have a bunch of things, but I'm still like I think I'll probably still have like a healthy breakfast and a healthy lunch, and then maybe I'll
like a big dinner or something.
Yeah,
like that.
maybe. But even I don't even know what place I'd want to go to. Like my favorite fast food place is like right now is still Wingstop. You ever go to Wingstop?
No.
Oh, Wingstop is sick. Wingstop is it's just like it's like a chicken wing place, and it's not good the first time you go. But if you go a few times, you're like, this place is amazing. And so that's my favorite. So I could see myself doing that, or like I don't know, maybe going to like a Chili's or something. But
I think Chili's. There's no
Chili's
Chili's around here. Are you from Flemington, New Jersey? Where are you from? Chili's? Where's there a Chili's?
there's like one in Secaucus.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought like Chili's was only in the South. I thought it was only like
No, it's Southwestern
redneck
style,
areas.
but it's all over the place. You're
No,
falling for the branding.
we don't have any Chili's around here. But like when I go to the South, like Florida, they're all over the fucking place there. And then like I feel like in certain parts of Jersey where it's more like farmland, there's a lot of Chili's. Like in Flemington, I never see it in New York City though, or like that area.
Yeah, I don't know. It's also weird because I'm also like very health conscious at this time. So like the idea of eating like a really unhealthy meal at this moment is not super appealing to
you.
me. Yeah.
That's the thing too. Like certain foods that are addicting, when you start eating healthy, they don't taste good anymore.
Yeah.
Like sugar doesn't taste good to me. Like I don't, cause I eat a lot of like sugar, like not sugar free, like substitutes, but like I drink my coffee with no sugar in it. Like I'll put almond milk and no sugar. So now, and I eat fruit, like I eat like natural sugars. So now the only sugar that still tastes good to me is ice cream. Fucking love. I love ice cream. That would probably be my guilty pleasure. But like certain things like candy, like it doesn't even taste good to me.
Yeah.
That type of stuff.
No,
or like
sugar still
soda.
tastes
I don't
good
like
to me.
soda.
But but a soda would be a lot to drink right now.
Yeah.
Like a diet soda I can handle, but like a full sugar soda like I used to drink all the time, I think those days are done.
What you did Mountain Dew, you said?
Yeah, Mountain Dew is the best.
I think Dr. Pepper was my shit. And the cherry cola too.
Dr. Pepper also is a great diet Dr. Pepper, which is very rare. Cuz like diet Mountain, cuz like if you're drinking sugar sodas, diet sodas are gross, but diet Dr. Pepper is still good.
I should try it then because I actually like Dr. Pepper and cherry cola, so I should check that out.
Yeah, I mean it's probably better to not check it out, but
yeah, because I heard diet soda isn't necessarily better for you.
Yeah.
Like it might be less calories, but I heard because it's like chemicals basically.
Yeah, but there is caffeine involved.
It might not make you fat, but it'll give you cancer or something. So I guess you have to.
Isn't that always the way?
Yeah, I mean I don't. We were just talking about this before, the e-cigarette. I've been doing my research about what's better for you, the e-cigarette or the real cigarette. And like, I think this is slightly better, but it's still like, okay, first of all, it's not going to make you stink. It's not going to make your teeth yellow. It's not going to make your lungs black.
Yeah.
But I think it's still smoke. You're still smoking. And there's still like chemicals in it. So it's just the lesser of the two evils, but it's still not great for you.
I used to drink when I was younger. Like I used to drink a lot before stand-up because it was fun. Yeah. But I had a girlfriend when I was like doing stand-up early on that said that I smelled bad if I drank. So she kind of like nagged me out of drinking a lot. And then when we broke up, I was like, I'm going to drink all the time. Then I'm like, this doesn't quite feel the same way. And by that point, I'd gotten fatter, and then it took longer to get drunk. So I was like, I'd rather just eat food.
It depends what you drink.
I got too fat to be a drunk.
It depends what you drink, but certain alcohols do make people smell like whiskey. Like guys that are drunk on like whiskey and stuff like that, like they stink.
Yeah, and when I would drink anything. I would drink from other people's glasses. I had a great time, but it's not the. I don't know. She'd always complain about it, so it stopped being fun to me. And I'd get drunk without her, and I'd drunk text her, and then she didn't think that was cute. Yeah. And I thought it was very cute, but she would get very mad about that. Yeah. And then I never smoked, and I smoked a little bit when I was like 28.
You never smoked weed?
No, when I was like 28, I started smoking a little bit here, like rarely, but I don't know how to like control it at all. You know how like when you're drinking, like you kind of like, I like an idea of like, this is how drunk a shot will get me. This is how drunk beer will get me. Yeah. Every time I have any type of weed, I'm always like, let's see what happens. And then I do an amount of it, and then I'm whatever high that's going to be.
Were you able to do stand-up when you were high?
Very rarely do stand-up high. And when I do, it's very bad. I remember one time I was at some like terrible mic high, and I was just like throwing a football back and forth to people, and I was like, I don't think this is how stand-up is supposed to be.
You're just like throwing a football in the audience, basically.
Yeah, and the last time I got like real high and did stand-up, it was after like a fight club. This is before I was really involved in it heavily, and one of the judges gave me like edibles. And I just took them a few days later, and then like drove to an open mic, and then I was just there sweating. And for what felt like hours, but it was probably like half an hour before the mic started, just like sweating. And then I was like, guys, I'm too high. And they ordered me a pizza at the bar, and then I ate the whole pizza. And I ended up going on stage, and I wasn't going to because I was too high. And then I go on stage, and the first thing I said was, guys, don't tell the bartender I'm high. As if he would care. And then the bartender's like 2 feet away from me. And I remember like getting laughs on stage. So I'm like, this is going well. And then as I was getting laughs, I saw this guy, AJ, that I used to know. And I had another embarrassing high story with him, like a couple months before, where he invited me to a party at his house. Yeah. And me and him were like smoking, having a good time talking at his house. And he's like a married guy, and he has like his whole, like a bunch of like older friends there. And they were like, you guys shouldn't smoke in the bedroom because everyone's coats are there and they got to go to work tomorrow. Yeah. So like I come back after smoking, and as soon as we get back into the apartment, I just fall over and faint and hit my head on the washing machine, and I break my glasses.
No, where's your glasses? Oh, they're right there.
Oh, yeah, they're over there. Yeah, different glasses. I break my glasses, and then I just have to like sit at the party too high, just like eating Doritos. And his wife's being very nice to me, even though I'm being very embarrassing. And she's like, "You can eat all the Doritos," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's great."
Yeah, I can't really function when I'm high myself. Like I have a lot of embarrassing. Like I can only smoke. I do smoke sometimes, not a lot, but I can only smoke when I'm just home. Yeah. Like pretty much alone. Like even like sometimes you'll ask me to smoke and I'll usually say no, but whenever I do, if I get too high, I have to go in my room and just like, because I'm very weird when I'm high. Like I have a lot of weird thoughts. But I remember this one time I worked at a movie theater. I'm not going to say which one because I don't want to get them in trouble, but I worked at a movie theater. It was one of my first job. I think it was my first job. I became a manager there at one point. And one of the other managers was leaving. Like he was going back. He was like moving out of the state. So he was like, it's my last day at work. Let's go on the roof and get high. And it was two managers on, me and him. So when he left, I was responsible for everything. And so we go on the roof and we smoke. And I underestimated like how much, or overestimated or underestimated. I guess underestimated like how easy it was for me to get high. And then he was like, all right, I'm going now, bye. So now it was just me responsible for like all these employees and cashing everything out, because back then you would get a lot of cash. Yeah. And I remember my boyfriend, he also worked there. And I remember I called him on the phone and I was like, I need you to come. I was crying. I was like, I need you to come in. And he came and he drove and he's like, is everything okay? And I was like, I'm so high. Like I just started crying. I was like, I'm so high right now. I don't know how I'm going to do any of the paperwork. I'm going to get fired. The GM is going to like know that I did nothing, because I was so high. I didn't know how I was going to like put data in a computer. I was like, I don't know what to do. And I was like, you guys have to help me. And literally him and all the staff that was like just regular like popcorn concession workers, they're like, we'll figure out how to do the data. And I was like, you have to, because I'm gonna get fired. The next day the manager, he comes in and he's like, I need to talk to you, Andrea. And I was like, oh my God, they probably fucked up the data and they probably like lost the money, like whatever. And he goes, this was the most perfect the paperwork has ever been. I was like, how did they do such a good job? But I just remember being like so high that like a bunch of like 16-year-old concession stand workers were like doing my work and I was crying in a corner. Like, it was just pathetic.
Yeah, it's the low moments where you're high because again, like so I'm high on stage and I see AJ there and I'm like I'd ruined his family his big party like a couple months before, and then I'm on stage and I'm doing kind of well and then I'm like, AJ, I got too high at your party and I feel like it's never been the same between us since then. And he's like, I know, buddy. And like we're having like a nice, genuine moment up on stage. And I'm like, this isn't what stand-up comedy is. So I'm just not good with it. Every once in a while I get high because my friend Alex Grubard, he does a show called Weeding Out the Stoned.
Yeah. Where
people get high and then the audience tries to figure out who on stage is high.
Yeah.
And I've gotten high for that a few times, but I'm very reticent to do it too much because I don't like getting too high.
I think I saw that once, like not you particularly, but I saw a show like that circling around on Facebook or something like that where it was exactly what you said. It's like a show where only one person's high and you have to figure out who it is.
Yeah, that's a show. I introduced it this week because I didn't want to get high because I was too tired from going to Connecticut.
I would be.
That's how old I am. I'm like, I went to Connecticut last night. I can't get high today.
Yeah, I think you said. I think you said to me at one point, you're like, hey, we can't do the podcast and the open mic in one day because I'm old now. Yeah,
I get too tired.
I can relate to. How do you even do comedy though if you get that tired? Because aren't there some events where you have to stay up till like 1 a.m? Yeah,
I hate it, but that's how you gotta do that. I like it enough that I'm like, I guess I'll be awake late.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's one of those. I don't know if this story might not be charming, but I was we were like filming Weeding Out the Stone one time because he filmed like a version of it, and I'm like high in the dressing room with my friend, Jesse Mondes. Yeah, him, and then there are other people there, and everyone there, they were getting real emotional about their pets. Really? This one girl was telling me, she's like, yeah, I think when my dog died, I think that she got reincarnated as my other dog. My new dog is my old dog reincarnated. And then I'm like high, and I'm like, you mean like A Dog's Purpose? You ever see that movie?
No.
There's a movie called A Dog's Purpose, which is that like every dog you have in your life is a reincarnation of the other dog. I've never seen it, but I've seen the trailer for that and for A Dog's Purpose too. So she's like, I'm like A Dog's Purpose. She's like, I can't watch that. I would cry immediately if I watched it. And then a bunch of other guys who are like kind of tough guys were also like, yeah, dude, I'd cry watching that movie. And they're all like saying like how much they would cry at this dog movie. And I'm high, and I text Jesse just because I thought it was funny. I would never cry at a dog movie like these pussies.
Oh my! Do you have any pets?
No.
I was gonna say
I'm allergic to most animals.
I feel really bad for you because we have 3 cats. But I was gonna say if you had a pet, I would cry. Like I never had a dog, so I can't relate to the dog dying necessarily. But like if my cat, eventually my cat's gonna die. I can't even.
Not your cats.
No, not my cat. No, listen, we have 3 cats. One is her cat.
Not her cats either.
No, that's her cat. That's Gandalf. I have Jazzy and Neo. I love Neo, but Jazzy's my favorite. Like when Neo dies, I'll be fine. I love him. I love him, and I will be sad, but I'll get over it.
Yeah.
When Jazzy dies, I don't think I'll get over it.
Yeah.
Ever. Like eventually I will, but it'll take me longer.
Yeah.
It'll take me like a year to get over it, but Neo I'll get over in like 2 months, I think.
Yeah.
I feel bad saying that.
Sorry about that, Neo.
Jazzy, what's that?
Ranking the cat.
I feel bad saying that. If Neo died, I would be really sad. But I have a special bond with Jazzy. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah.
But you can't relate at all because you hate it.
I'm too allergic to them.
You're allergic to dogs too?
Yeah.
Wow. I've never heard of that. I've heard of cats, but I've never heard of them.
I'm real Jewish. I can't.
Are you Jewish?
Yeah.
100% Jewish.
Nah, but enough to be allergic to cats and dogs.
That's so funny. But Are Jewish people allergic?
I text Jesse this unnecessarily mean text about how I wouldn't cry at a dog movie. And then we're sitting there in the chairs waiting to film the thing. And then he starts, I forgot I sent the text. And he starts laughing. And I'm like, what happened? He goes, and he shows the text I sent to the people that I said it about. And then I was like, why would you do that?
We're going to end the podcast here. So before we leave, let them know where they can stalk you, find you, murder you.
Okay. I'm at Mark Henely, Henely on Instagram. I don't really post on Twitter ever because I think Twitter is bad. But I'm on there. And then also you can see me every week on Comedy Fight Club, Comedy Fight NYC on Instagram, but I think Comedy Fight Club on YouTube is the page. So every new episode, I'm opening it up, and then I help produce like all the Jersey and ones that are out of state. So if you want to see a roast battle, check it out. I've also got a Christmas special that I did, Christmas stand-up special.
Oh, I think I saw something like that. You were getting. Wait, the podcast isn't over. Why do you think Twitter's bad?
Oh, I think it's,
I just got curious about that.
I think it's just a bunch of people trying to say sentences that have never said sentences. Like everyone's trying to say a sentence that's never been said before every single day, and everyone's trying to do it, and then everyone's just trying to dunk on everyone and be mean all the time.
I've never been on Twitter. Like I've never had a Twitter. I know she's a big. I don't go on it.
Yeah.
She's a big Twitter fan. I don't go on. Like I've never been on it, so I can't really say anything either way.
Yeah, it's trouble. So I don't really like Twitter, but
a lot of comedian. There's like a whole bunch of like drama right now that Elon Musk apparently he's something with Twitter. I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. You ever say something at a party that's like wild and everyone looks at you like kind of like that, and then you like realize, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, that's Twitter.
Everyone is just saying things, and then they're not looking at people's facial reactions to it.
Yeah.
So they're just saying crazy shit all day long. Yeah. And then a few people kind of show up and they're like, that crazy thing, I actually think that too. So then like all these like things that are not actually like popular ideas or ideas that most people are into, they just like gain so much like weird momentum all the time.
Is it mostly political? Like what is it?
It's like everything. Like there's like a whole faction of Twitter that like you saw like the Chris Rock Will Smith thing. There's a faction of Twitter that believes that what happened is that Jada rejected Chris Rock in the 90s and that he has been harassing her through stand-up comedy for 30 years.
One of my podcast guests that I had last week is a huge Will Smith fan, but he's also happens to be a stand-up comedian. So I was like, I need to hear your take on it. And he didn't say that necessarily. He didn't say that word for word, but he kind of said something like that. Like he was kind of like, there's some stuff going on behind the scenes that we don't know about.
Yeah.
But
Will Smith says 3 jokes about her in 30 years. A woman in the public eye, and everyone's like, he's a desperate man trying to harass her.
It's crazy how much came about because of that. Like how much content and media, how much like memes were made over it, and how much like I did a whole podcast on it. Like I went in on it too, but it was crazy what a riot that caused.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing to happen in comedy in a very long time.
Gilbert Gottfried died today. That's
R.I.P.
actually
to a real one.
That's actually something. There's been a lot of comedians who died this year.
Hopefully not me next.
Anyway, so we went into a side tangent. I thought we were ending, but I wanted to ask more about that Twitter thing. But
so Merry Christmas Big Dog, but it's all X's instead of vowels because I'm annoying. It's a Christmas special that I did. It's 15 minutes long, and all of it is like Christmas jokes.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I saw you posting about that and making it, but I never looked at it. But
I bleached my hair blonde for it.
I think I saw that.
Beard, so that I looked more like Santa Claus, and then I wore like a red leather jacket.
I saw you making a post like, whose house can I borrow that looks like a Christmas holiday? And I
found one, and I have a nice Christmas holiday thing that it was a lot of fun. It's like a nice little thing, and then in this summer I'm going to be in Edinburgh, Scotland for the Snack Attack comedy show.
Oh shit!
We're bringing a comedy show to Scotland.
No way!
Yeah.
You should bring the CFC to Scotland.
Maybe next year. We gotta see how Scotland goes the first time, and maybe we'll drag Matt out with us, and we'll go do some roast battles and stuff.
I'll join.
Yeah.
I'll go to Scotland. Anyways, that's it. I had a fun time here with Mark Henely on the podcast. Before you leave, if you enjoyed yourself, don't forget to subscribe. I want to be one of the big dogs and make a couple cents off of advertisements. So I got to get 1,000+ subscribers on here. So if you enjoyed yourself, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment, and come back next week for another comedian I'm having. So have a good night. Bye.